What up, sports fans and fellow foodies? I'm Julie, and welcome to my kitchen, where each week I talk sports while whipping up culinary creations. We are at the All-Star break, and what a way to hit the Midsummer Classic. The Cubs take 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati. Pete Crow Armstrong is their sole All-Star. He is on his way to Philly. The White Sox complete the sweep of the Athletics. They outscore the A's 24-2 in the 3-game series. And they have 3 All-Stars heading to Philly. Originally, it was just Miguel Vargas, but added to the mix, Mooney and Tristan Peters. What? He hit for the cycle the other night, guys. Friday night, he hits for the cycle, the former Savannah Banana, who was acquired for cash considerations. Nice job, Chris Getz. He too is an All-Star. And we had the MLB draft this weekend. The Cubs taking a pitcher, right-hander Cade Townsend out of Ole Miss. He's got a mid to upper 90s fastball, good spin rate. He's the Cubs' first-round pick. And the White Sox took the guy that I wanted, Roch. He's excited to be here. He is a shortstop, played at UCLA. And then the White Sox go one better. They had acquired the 34th pick in the draft on Friday night when they traded Jacob Gonzalez. They pick up that 34th pick, and right away I thought, I know who they're targeting. And they got their man, Landon Thome. Yep, that's right, Jim Thome's son. He is coming to join the White Sox as well. And he and Roch, they're already pals. They've been texting, they've been talking. So the White Sox get 2 guys that people should be very excited about. I have been hoping for months that they would draft Roch. And I kept thinking, boy, if they draft Roch, I'm making rock candy. And I was determined to do it. Newsflash, making rock candy, not as easy as I thought it would be. I'm gonna show you what I came up with, and then I'm gonna show you how to make it yourself. I will at some point jump back with some troubleshooting that will hopefully avoid some of the problems I ran into. So here's what I finished up with. They almost look like geodes, don't they? These are my little rock candy pieces that I colored with black food coloring for the White Sox. So they're cute, my little platter of rock candy. And I wanted to get like rock candy on a stick like you do at the candy store. And that's kind of what I got. So if it wasn't such a big chunk, it really would have been fine. But getting it out of the jars was really, really challenging. So you'll see here, this is one of the jars, and you can see I've got my crystal in there on the stick. I kept looking at it. I started this a few days ago, and I kept looking to see how it was looking, and you're not supposed to move it, you're not supposed to touch it. What I wound up doing is puncturing the crystal film that had formed on the top, and kind of doing this and cutting around it. But in a second, after we start our sugar water, I will show you how I kind of worked away at this. Again, I don't regret giving it a shot, but it was certainly more challenging than I thought. All right, so there's a lot of science involved here, which is the cool part. So I turned up my burner. You don't want to go too high, probably medium heat. And you want a ratio of 4-to-1. So I'm doing 4 cups of sugar, just regular granulated sugar. And I'm doing 1 cup of water. And you're gonna have to watch this pretty carefully. When you put that 1 cup of water in there, obviously because there's so much more sugar than there is water, it's gonna look kind of like quicksand almost. And I'm gonna start with a whisk. You can use a whisk or you can use a spatula. I'm gonna start with a whisk and just kind of work it all in there together. And what we are looking for is we want this to heat to 230 degrees. We're gonna heat to 230 and then let it cool and take it down to 220. So you are going to need a candy thermometer, and I'm gonna show you that in just a sec. I just wanna make sure all our sugar is saturated. And again, it's looking pretty thick. Right now it looks kind of like applesauce. If you had to kind of name a texture for it, maybe a little watery applesauce. So here's my candy thermometer. They're usually glass thermometers, and I am going to be checking my sugar, making sure I'm getting up to the right temperature. So right now, since we just started, it's like barely at 100. But we're gonna keep checking on that. You wanna make sure when you're testing the temperature, you're not pressing the thermometer against the bottom of the pot. So make sure you're testing the sugar temperature and not the metal temperature. So this is going to take a little bit of time here, and you're going to kind of keep working it to make sure the sugar is not clumping up on the sides. So we're going to let this work for a second here, and in the meantime I will show you how we're going to be prepping to actually pour this. So you're making it in glass mason jars, and this batch, this 4 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water, is going to make you 4 jars of your sugar water. You need to have something prepped that the crystals are going to form on. You can do it with rope, kind of like the bakery twine rope. You can do it with the long skewers or, candy swizzle sticks. I decided to try with the smaller skewers, thinking, well, they'll fit in here pretty well. You have to make sure it doesn't touch the bottom, it doesn't touch the sides. And that might be where I went wrong. I think the crystals all started forming on the bottom and just like glued themselves to the bottom of the jar. So you do have to make sure when you suspend it in here that you are not touching the bottom. And I came up with a couple different ways. I was doing things with like clips like this, like chip clips and stuff, and kind of doing this and then making sure it was suspended above the jar. So I gave that a couple shots there. And okay, this is dissolving nicely. It's not going to be ready until you see it turn clear. Right now it's very cloudy with my sugar water there. It's opaque. So when you start to see it clear, then you'll know you're kind of getting in the temperature range where you want to start watching it carefully. So back to my mason jars. This is one of the things I found to actually be most effective. So you're going to pour the sugar in here, and you'll see that. You're going to set your toothpick. I have it in a little mini clothespin. You could use big clothespins too. But what I did is I put the foil here, and then I did this, and it's resting on there. Hopefully you can see that. My toothpick and my clothespin are resting on top of the foil, and I just left it there for a couple days. I did start this on Friday. Right now we're approaching probably 125, so we've still got a little bit of ways to go. I'm gonna kick up my heat just a smidge, but again, I gotta keep stirring. I don't want this to scorch, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I did one with black food coloring. I just used Wilton gel food coloring, and that's how I got those ones that looked like this. So it actually worked pretty well. And I tried one with Kool-Aid because I thought, well, then you'll get color and you'll get flavor. So I put 1 packet of Kool-Aid in 1 jar of my sugar water, and I got this, which looks like, something you could put on a Halloween dessert, like a syringe or something, fake blood. So the Kool-Aid was kind of an epic fail. But again, you don't know until you try. So, and as I was trying to chisel my crystals out, my rock candy on the skewer, you can kind of see like there's just a layer forming on the bottom there. And I was literally, I look like something out of a horror movie. I was literally using knives, using a screwdriver, which I did sterilize rather. But I literally was like, trying to get candy out of a jar. So I will warn you, it was a little challenging, but when I got that big hunk out, I was delirious. It's like, yes, I did it. I'm continuously checking our temperatures here, and we have hit 230, so we're gonna go ahead and shut this down and let it cool to 220. So you're gonna take it off the heat. You're gonna set it down to let it cool. I'm just gonna set this here for a little bit. And I'm continuing to whisk. If you see you're getting that sugar along the sides, you can take a pastry brush and some water and just wet down the sides to get rid of those crystals. If you've ever made caramel on the stovetop, this is always a huge step in making caramel because you don't want all those sugar crystals to mess up your caramel. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back and check on this when it's hit 220. All right, so I've checked our sugar syrup here, and it has cooled to 220. So now we're gonna go ahead and start pouring it in the jars. And again, this is gonna give you 4 mason jars. So let's use this one I've got set up here, just so you can kind of see the suspension at work. I'm gonna pour that in, and you see it's clear as it goes in the jar there. And like I said, there's so many different ways you can suspend your toothpick. I'm just gonna do this really lightly. I'm gonna leave some air in there. You don't wanna completely cover this. I'm gonna do that, vent it a little. Continuing to work around here with either the knife or the screwdriver. And you'll see in a second what we're able to get free. What I did do when I was unearthing my first batch is I did pour off the solution. And don't be alarmed that there's gonna be solution in there. You can use that for future batches. You just have to reheat it to the right temperature. But it is not gonna be completely crystallized. It's not gonna be like Superman's palace or anything. It's just gonna be little liquid floating around your chunks of crystals. So I'm gonna dump some of this off real quick. And we will see where we are at with unearthing this. If you take a look, you can see what we're at on the inside there. So I'm gonna keep working with my utensils. Like I said, it looks very violent and very angry. If you need to get out some frustrations, probably a great project for it. But again, they did kind of grow to the sides. So it is gonna stick a little bit on me. I should have mentioned when we did our little sample here, I did skip a step. You do wanna take your toothpick or skewer or whatever you're using, and you wanna get that simple syrup on it, that sugar syrup, and you wanna dip it in sugar. So if you see, I've seeded this so that crystals will attach to this. That's how you get the crystals to start growing. Like I said, there's a lot of science involved here, which is cool about baking. Cooking, not as much science as baking, but there is the potential for things to go awry. So again, there's what our beautiful clear solution looks like. And you're gonna distribute it to all your jars. And we're going to take a quick break. And I'm gonna finish this and unearth it. So we'll come right back. All right, so while I stepped away, I busted out the big guns, big knives. I went to town on breaking this stuff up. I think where my mistake was, again, when you put the stick in and you don't want it touching anywhere, the crystals started to grow on the stick, as it should after you've seeded it, and then they started to grow on the stick all the way to the sides. It got stuck to the side of the glass. So I probably could have checked it sooner than leaving it for 2 days. So lesson learned, but I did get it out. It's another big chunk. So maybe instead of like rock candy, I'll make like rock icebergs or something. I don't know, it could be like for a Titanic theme. But Roch, I love ya. I heard you on one of Brooke Fletcher's reports. I heard you're a foodie. So I can smell what the Roch is cooking. I sense Roch, I need you in the kitchen with me once you get to Chicago officially. So we got these, and we got our little White Sox colored ones. So we got our black and white going here, little ones, big chunky ones. I mean, this is like something out of Willy Wonka. But at least we've got this working. I'm gonna finish up my syrup in the jars here. I'm gonna check on them maybe tomorrow. Maybe not let this go 2 days. In the meantime, we're hitting the All-Star break. We've got Mooney heading to the Home Run Derby, and he'll be there for the game as well. We got 4 Chicago guys to watch in the Midsummer Classic. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see how we start the second half on both sides of town. And I'll see you back here next time in my kitchen.